Hi guys, it's Stock Curry, and I know we've had a lot of bad news lately that's been pushing the stock market down, but today we finally got some good news that points to a bottom in this bear market. So let's get into it! Alright, let's get the bad news out of the way first, and then we'll get into the good news. Crypto hedge fund Three Arrows Capital was just forced into liquidation. Unfortunately, this means that anybody who had money invested with Three Arrows Capital most likely lost most, if not everything, that they had invested. It's a really sad situation, and unfortunately, it's not just limited to Three Arrows Capital. There are other crypto exchanges that are having a lot of problems right now also. CoinFlex said they will probably not resume withdrawals on Thursday as they had previously planned. Now, we've seen this happen with other crypto exchanges right before they went out of business or got bailed out by FTX. And unfortunately, I think we're just going to continue to see more and more of this as cryptocurrencies continue to fall. Remember, a lot of these exchanges were offering insane interest rates if you staked your crypto with them, and then they were using that staked crypto to go trade it and make huge amounts of money, very oftentimes with margin, by trading cryptocurrencies. But once cryptocurrencies fell, these exchanges were not able to pay back their margin. They started missing payments to the bank accounts, and now, unfortunately, most, if not everybody who has staked crypto with them is losing everything. And this is causing a major sell-off in the cryptocurrency markets as people are fearful that they might not be able to withdraw their cryptocurrency or their funds from the exchanges that they have their cryptocurrencies on. And as a result of all of this, it caused Bitcoin to drop below $20,000 once again. So unfortunately, it does not look like things are going to get better in the cryptocurrency world anytime soon. Now, as these exchanges liquidate, they go out of business, some get bought up or bailed out by FTX or whoever else, eventually we will get through this period. Everything will consolidate. I personally think Bitcoin is going to bottom out at around 12,500. I think Ethereum's going to bottom out at around 750. And I think just everything will bottom out right around the time we hit the maximum pain on the exchanges. And then from there, I think we hit that bottom. I think the exchanges start solidifying their balance sheets. They get in good standing. They get rid of all the high interest staking. And everything just gets a whole lot better. And I think once that happens, once the exchanges get back to a place where they're on solid footing, I really think we see cryptocurrencies start rising up. And remember, after the crypto winter that we had a few years ago, it did not take long for cryptocurrencies to rise and go on these massive, massive bull runs. 100,000% profit, 1,000%, I think, Bitcoin went up in a very short period of time. So definitely, once this is over, and it does look like it will be over hopefully soon, probably by the end of this year or beginning of next year would be my guess, we should see cryptocurrencies go on a major bull run. So if you like investing in cryptocurrencies, I would just encourage you to be patient, keep holding cash on the sidelines, because there is going to be an incredible opportunity to buy in once we just see a little bit further drop in some of the cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now, moving on to the economy, Jerome Powell has vowed to prevent inflation from taking hold in the US for the long run. I read another article that was a little bit more forthcoming, and it said that Jerome Powell said he is willing to allow the Fed to cause a recession if that means getting inflation under control. So the Fed is now blatantly coming out and saying, yes, we will cause a recession to get inflation under control. They're fine doing this. Now, I do think the Fed will be successful. Whether or not Jerome Powell has to become the next Paul Volcker or not, and we see 20% interest rates, I don't know. But I do think the Fed is committed to this. I do think we are going to see interest rates increase at a faster and faster pace until they get inflation under control. I also believe that we are nearing the top on these high inflationary readings. And I also saw another article that said once we hit the peak of inflation, which a lot of people think could happen in June, then the stock market should bottom out in about 3 to 6 months. And the beautiful thing about that is that actually lines up with that October date where I think the stock market is going to bottom out. I think the stock market will bottom out in October. So if we get that peak inflation reading in June and that's it, it goes down from there, then that would line up with that 3 to 6 months of October being the bottom and us starting a new bull run in November and December. So we are not that far away from what I believe is either going to be the next bull run or at the very least a massive rebound rally the last 2 or 3 months. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'll remain short in the short term. I'll continue to buy put options through October. But come October, I do plan to switch everything up and go pretty heavy on the call options because I think we're going to have a really, really nice rebound. Imagine if you had invested into the stock market at the bottoms of March 2020 or at the very beginning of April 2020. Imagine if you had invested in then. You would have made so much money. I mean, you could have bought call options during that time and made 10,000% returns on your investments. There were so many people who did it. It was insane. And I think we're about to have another opportunity like that come October where you start buying call options in October and from November through December, we see 10,000% returns on our call options. I honestly believe we are about to have a period like that. So stay the course because I'm telling you, we are about to see some incredible, incredible gains in the stock market. Now, I do have to warn you that before we get to that point, we do have more pain ahead. And the reason is we already talked about California dispersing up to $1,050 in these inflation relief payments to eligible taxpayers. And basically, it's more stimulus checks. But there are now actually 13 total states that are giving out stimulus checks to their residents. Those 13 states include Colorado, Delaware, Georgia, Hawaii, Idaho, Indiana, Maine, Minnesota, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, and Virginia. I mean, here's the problem. The stimulus checks are the reason we have high inflation. We cannot fix high inflation with more stimulus. It's ridiculous. What's the old Albert Einstein saying? The definition of insanity is continuing to do the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So unfortunately, these stimulus checks are just going to cause more inflation. Now, I understand that these stimulus checks are coming out of surpluses that state economies have gotten over the past year due to high inflation. The high inflation caused these states to collect a lot more taxes than they were expecting to collect. That in turn has given them major surpluses. So now they're giving that money back to their residents. Unfortunately, this is just going to make inflation worse. And with Jerome Powell already vowing to put us into a recession in order to get inflation under control, with these stimulus checks coming out and inflation actually going up, not down, it's just going to make the Fed's job that much harder, and the Fed is going to have to raise interest rates that much more in order to get inflation under control. So we definitely have more pain ahead. I do expect the stock market to continue to go down in a massive way over the next 3 months, but eventually we will get to a bottom and things will turn around. Now, this article should be a huge red flag that we are already in a recession. Even if we aren't technically in a recession, even if Q2 GDP numbers next month come out and they show that we're not officially in a recession, the fact is, when you start getting layoffs, that is when you know you're in a recession. Now, the interesting thing about this article is it's a whole article talking about how to manage your finances after you get laid off from a job. Now, this article was just published today. And you have to ask yourself, what made the author write this article today? Why not write this article a year ago, or 3 years ago, or 5 years ago? Why today? Well, the reason the article came out today is because a lot of people are starting to get laid off. It's mostly showing up in the private sector, but it's also showing up in the public sector. And we've talked a lot on this channel about these layoffs that are coming. So obviously the author knew that now was the time to go write this article, because so many people are getting laid off and a lot of people are going to need to know what to do with their finances after they get laid off. Now, I'll tell you, the time to prepare for a layoff is before you get laid off, like now. Like, start saving up money, start spending a whole lot less, get yourself into a really good, strong financial position so that, God forbid, you do get laid off, you at least have a few months worth of savings with lower expenses to be able to get you through until you can find another job. So, unfortunately, this is coming, and as more and more people get laid off, this is just going to make the recession worse and worse and worse. Now, that's all the bad news. We got all the bad news out of the way. Here's the good news, because we did actually finally get some good news today. And here it is. RH, that's a high-end furniture chain, their shares slid after the company lowered its outlook for the year. Now, I know what you're probably saying. You're saying, Scott, what are you talking about? The stock went down after hours and the company lowered their guidance? How is that good news? Well, remember, the one thing we had left before we could finally hit a market bottom, we already had high inflation, we already have interest rates going up, we already have a slowdown in the economy, we already have layoffs, we already have a war, we already have high oil prices. The one thing that we were waiting on to get factored in before we could hit a bottom in the stock market was for companies to lower their forward guidance. Once companies start lowering their forward guidance, that gets the stock market to have its final leg down so we can finally bottom out. So the fact that RH is coming out today and lowering their guidance is really good news. It's really good news. It's the final piece of bad news we need in order to hit a market bottom. So this means that as more and more companies come out and start lowering their guidance, we will get closer and closer to a bottom of the stock market. So I'm really, really happy to see this. I hope a whole lot more companies come out and lower their guidance over this earnings season that we're getting starting in July so that we can finally hit a bottom in the stock market. So I hope you are encouraged. This is one of those weird times where bad news is actually good news. If you need any help investing, learning, trading during this time, if you want to learn options so that you can get in there and start buying these call options with us in November, December, and make all this money that I plan on making, then you can come join us in the VIP Discord. We do a lot of coaching in there. I have a full training course in there. We teach you how to trade options, how to do technical analysis, how to do fundamental analysis, and we have coaching, so I will coach you and help you learn these concepts. You're not on your own. You're not just going out there taking a course and then, well, hopefully you got it, and if you didn't, oh well. You actually have access to a full Discord with coaches, which will help you and guide you to make sure that you understand these concepts so that you can actually become a successful trader and you're not just doing it on your own. So if that sounds interesting to you, then come join us in the VIP Discord. You can sign up for that at stockcurry.vip/getvip. That's stockcurry.vip/getvip. I'd love to have you come join us. And of course, if you need a broker to trade options on, by far the easiest broker to trade options on is Webull. And I think today is the very last day that you can sign up for Webull, deposit $1, and get 6 free stocks worth up to $12,600. Today is literally the last day. So if you want to get 6 free stocks worth up to $12,600, you need to open an account using my link in the description below and sign up for Webull and deposit just $1. You need to do it today. Today's the last day to get in on that promotion. All right, guys, I hope you have a lot of success trading. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow.